Hi guys, hey lovelies, you're welcome to Reviews and Recaps. Ready to Love is back. Girl, if you're new to this channel, you probably don't know, but I love Ready to Love. So I'm excited to be covering Ready to Love this season. It's going to be messy, I'm sure. It's going to be dramatic, and most of the people might not find love. That's pretty much, I don't know why it's called Ready to Love. It's probably ready to have fun or ready to be famous, honey. But anyways, let's get into today's episode. If you are new to this channel or you still don't subscribe to this channel, what are you doing? Subscribe to your girl, honey. Like, get the subscriber number up. Thank you, guys. All right, let's get into it. So the first scene, Andre walked in the building. I'm like, okay, Andre. I'm not sure what's going on with that hair on his head, but if he likes it, I love it. And also in his confessional, he said he is a social butterfly. He hangs with models. He's ready for this. I'm like, honey, are you a child? How old is this man? Like, what a cheesy intro. Who else agrees? Like, let me know in the comment section below, guys. And you know what? These people are wild for this. Do you guys hear you're a butterfly, are you ready for the cocoon? Like that was the background music. I hollered. I'm like, nah, you guys are wild for that. So Mr. Andre was there by himself, and in walks Kavaya. She is gorgeous. She's a digital strategist. I'm like, okay, I don't know what that means, but you cute, honey. Like, she fine. She said she has a great personality. You know, you either get with it or get lost. I'm like, oops. She is going to be a firecracker, and I'm absolutely here for it. I might change my mind as the season progresses, but I am here for it. She also has a beautiful smile, guys. Like, did you guys notice? She just has this beautiful smile about her. Well, we'll see. So in walks Natasha. Natasha is an attorney, and she reminds me of Simone. Like the whole personality, the look, the hair, the lipstick. I'm like, girl, you look like you and Simone could be almost related. Like, that is interesting, guys. Also, guys, like all the women are absolutely beautiful. Like Z looks gorgeous. Like, I know I said that about the first lady as well, but like, I don't know, they're all so pretty. Like, did you guys feel the same way when you watched this episode? Like, I'm just like, ooh, they are gorgeous, but I'm ready for the conversations, honey. Z says she loves to baby her men. She loves to watch them eat. I'm like, girl, she loves to rub their head while they eat. I'm like, honey, you ain't their mama. I'm gonna cook your laundry. I ain't your mama. Basically, that's what it was given to me, honey. In the words of Jennifer Lopez, I ain't your mama. And honestly, I feel like she's very much giving mama vibes with that. Like, I don't want to watch you eat while I rub your head. That is so weird. Sorry. And then there was Dre. So Dre, big smiles, really petite, interesting hairdo. He's a radio personality. I personally don't see him lasting long on this show because he's not really given confident man. He's given school kid outfit. Like, that shirt gets to go. Like, the thing is, like, okay, let me put it this way. As someone who loves tall men but has dated short men as well, one thing about, like, for any short man that I date, they have to be confident. They have to have this air of confidence about them. They have to be well put together. They have to be, fashionable, given, I'm dating, mature or my age mate, not I'm dating under because you look, you look so young, and your presentation, you present very a little bit immature, and that shirt is very much given I'm rocking the cradle. Like, no, it's a no for me. So it turns out that he also does music, and so Corvea was like, oh yeah, spit something, and then he spit a little something. Yeah, I'm gonna let you guys go watch that and let me know what you think. To be honest, a lot of people don't even have, they can't even spit that, and they have good records out there. So, you know, you could be saying eating popcorn, cupcakes, and someone is going to buy that record. So honestly, like, just put some beats on that and it will sound good. That's all I'm saying. So he was saying that he's a little short and it puts a damper on his love life. Now, honey, listen to me. Take it from your big sis. Oh, actually, little sis, because it seems like you're older than me, honey. But anyways, take it from little sis, right? It's not the fact that you are short, it's the way you present. Look at what everyone else is wearing. Look at what you're wearing. As someone that is short, you need to come across confident, serious, assertive. Your fashion game got to be put together. But right now, it's not given. It's given high schooler, honey. Like, yeah, I just can't. It's not your height, hon. It really isn't. Trust me. And so then they introduced Lyndon, who is a bar manager. I'm like, okay, bar manager? Oh, all right. I guess he's a manager at the bar. All right, cool. So anyways, he seems very smiley. He said, I guess think he's a bit of a a-hole, but I guess he's not. He says he's really, really nice. I guess we'll find out, won't we? And so Morgan is a new lady that was introduced to us. She's very, very beautiful. She's just gorgeous. Like, all these women, man, they are all so gorgeous, and I'm here for it. So anyways, Morgan was having a chat with Lyndon. Lyndon is the one I just introduced. He's the bar manager. So Lyndon was basically saying that, he's working late, sleeps around like 6 in the morning. And Morgan was like, oh, she's getting to know him, having a good chat with him. But she's a bit intimidated by his lifestyle because she doesn't really party. I'm like, girl, yes, I'm with you. I love that you recognize that straight on, early on. Fantastic. Hopefully you keep it moving. So then they introduced someone called Marcia. She is a fashion designer. She is in love with herself. She said she will absolutely date herself. She is in love with herself. I'm like, okay, say less. We heard you the first time. And so Marcia was talking to someone called Blue. He's a lounge owner, right? And he has really beautiful eyes. And so, they were both vibing and talking, and, I'm like, okay, we'll see where this goes. Mercy said she feels safe around Blue, and that as women, when you feel safe, the floodgates open. I'm like, honey, you've just met this man for 5 seconds. Like, chill, oh, sister, chill. Like, have you ever watched Ready to Love? Maybe not, but she better chill. Can I just say that everyone looked really hot? Like, I mean, like, hot as in sweaty. Like, Miami must be hot because everyone looks hot. I'm like, sorry, it must really be like a hot place. Like, shout out to you guys in Miami. Nephew Tommy, I'm so happy to see him. Like, I love that man. He just gives me, like, just good vibes. He loves his colored suit, honey. Like, he is here in a colored suit again. Like, all right, Tommy. All right, uncle. Oh, I better put uncle. So, nephew Tommy was speaking his little speech, and he was talking about, ready to find love and all that good stuff. Anyways, he introduces Rashid and Simone, and I love them. Like, I listen to their podcast. I love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. And they're just gorgeous together. I feel like they're such a good match. But anyways, yeah, I'm happy to actually see them on the show. Anyways, Mercedes is a beautiful, beautiful woman. She's a flight attendant. It seems like they love their flight attendants on the show. But yeah, it was interesting. So Anthony is a nurse practitioner. So they were having a chat. And so she was asking him about his goals and stuff. And then he expressed that, maybe get married one day. And she's like, maybe. And then he's like, that actually cracked me up because she's like, you better be sure. So there was like a sit down with Rashid and Simone with some of the guys, the newbies. And so Andre asked, who made the first move. And so Rashid was basically saying he did. And then they were just talking about like their love story, which I thought was really cute. Because when I actually saw them on their date from the pickup truck, I actually thought they were so good together. And I was upset that she got eliminated after that, because I felt like they could have just made it work. And I'm so glad that they reconnected after and it ended up being a love story. Guys, can I just say, I think Morgan understands the assignment because she was really mingling. So I saw Morgan talking to a guy called Tony, I believe. And Tony is a tax director. I'm like, okay, I don't know what that is, but I guess it's the director of, guys, I don't know. He does taxes. He's a director. Tax director, okay. So anyways, they were having a chat and talking. He was saying that he has two boys, and then she was saying that, she comes from a family of beautiful women, and that, she would love to have boys as well. So it was nice that they actually connected on that. And then also he was talking about his family and how, his parents weren't married or weren't really like together when they had him. So that was also interesting, like an added layer in terms of like getting to know him. And he said that was something that he wants to give to his kids, and he thinks that that's something that Morgan could bring. Okay, all right, Mr. Tony, knowing what you want. Then this was the part that got me. He's like, oh, his father was a playboy and his mom was a pastor. And then Morgan was like, oh, my friends call me Pastor Morgan. He's like, you covered by the blood? Like, yeah. Do you know what? That was actually so cute. Like, they clearly connect on that spirituality element. So it would be interesting to see how they actually progress. And you know what? She said something that really, really got me. She's like, she's tried to date a man in the past that was an unbeliever, and it just didn't work. I'm like, yes, girl, it never does. And she was like, she felt like she kept having to drag him. That's the thing. That's one of the things I do not like. Like, I've done it as well in the past, and it ain't it, honey, because you will be playing drag. You'll be pulling them all the time. It's just not it. Not it. Would never do it again. So basically, Demario and Andre and Kavea were sitting together having a chat. And Demario was asking her what kind of shoes she likes. I'm like, oh, that's a very, very odd question, but okay. So she's like, she likes shoes that, a little bit on the expensive side. He's like, yeah, I can see that. And so I was like, okay, cool. I hope this question is going to lead somewhere else. Anyway, she started to ask him questions. So she asked him about like, what happened and why is he single? He's like, well, there's some things in his past relationship that did not carry over into the future. I'm like, what happened? I don't like when people are so vague about what happened in their past relationships. I'm like, did you cheat? Did he cheat? Like, did she cheat? Like, what happened? I don't like it. For me, I'm like, that's you not being vulnerable. That's you not being transparent. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying bash your exes, not at all. But at least give us some context, honey. Context. So she's like, have you ever been to therapy? And he's like, yeah, I've been to therapy before. I'm like, honey, you should say, do you go to therapy? Are you in therapy? Because the thing is, anyone can say they've been to therapy before. That doesn't mean they are actively in therapy. Anyone that is actively in therapy will not say they've been to therapy before. What it sounds like is like, oh, he had like 1 or 2 sessions here and there, honey. So if you think that because he's been to therapy, that means he's a good man, sister, I wish you the best. So then he asked her, like, what's a deal breaker for her? And she's like, well, if he independent, if he does not live alone, that's a deal breaker for her. And then he's like, I ain't got that problem. And over on the other side, she asked the other guy, I think his name is Lyndon, and she's like, oh, do you live alone? He's like, no. I'm like, you ain't her type, honey. So then he's like, oh, in his defense, the landlord of his apartment told him that they want to sell the apartment a month before he had to leave, basically. I'm like, okay. And do you know what? This is the part that got me. He's like, oh, if you're working every day and you're also trying to find a place, it can be quite difficult. Hun, it might be difficult, but it's not impossible. If you really wanted a place today, you will find a place today. I really believe that you can do online viewings. You can do all sorts of things. Like, there have been times where I needed a place and I got it done. I did whatever I needed to do to make sure I found the place. Even when I was trying to buy a property and I gave myself a timeline and I was busy with work and everything else, I made sure I was on my grind. Every time an opening came out, I was like, online viewing, can I come to see? So no, those are excuses, honey. Stop. So then he's like in his confessionals, Kovea has a lot of boundaries, a lot of judgment. There's no way me and her will connect. Honey, she don't want to connect with you because you're not independent. You have a roommate. She does not want that. I understand women as at a particular age, we definitely want that security. We don't want to be coming to visit you in your house full of other people. We want you to have your own space. Like, it's just, that's just what it is. Imagine she has her own space and you don't have your own space. It just doesn't translate well enough. So then basically Blake, Rashid, Simone and Jeffrey is one of the newbies as well. They were sitting down having a conversation. Simone was basically asking her, so how has it been going so far? And so Jeffrey was talking about, she's a gorgeous woman, by the way, and she was wearing this orange dress. Yes, it worked, honey. So yeah, she was basically saying like it's just nice to talk to like multiple people who have different energies and all that good stuff. So yeah, it sounds like she's having a good old time. Can I just say Blake is good looking, but I guess we'll see whether his personality matches that face of his. So then Blake looked over to Simone and said, what took you so long to discover that this man is a catch? I'm like, are you okay, sir? That is a weird question to ask. And even Rashid's face, like, I wish I could pause it on that and show you guys. Like, Rashid's face was like, huh? Simone actually handled it well. She was like, well, we're friends first, best friends. We're able to learn about each other from like the start, which really helped. And, she understood and they knew each other's vulnerabilities. And that's exactly, I'm with Jeffrey on this. That is exactly what I want as well. So it looks like Jeffrey and Andre are like getting into it and getting acquainted because she said she liked the little part in his hair that was dropping. Like, guy, it is a pet peeve for me when I see that. Like, oh gosh, if it was up to me, I'd have pushed that thing right to the back, honey. But she said she loves it, so she must really like him. She said as soon as she heard his accent, she was like, oh, he has an accent, and she was immediately drawn in. I guess we'll see what happens with them. But yeah, she must really love accents because that hair ain't it for me. When this girl said she is a mom of 3, I said, what? Like, girl, you look amazing. Like, I need the diet. I need to eat what you eat. I need to work out how you work out, honey, because that body is snatched. Do you know what? It actually looks like they had a really good conversation. She was talking about how she wants someone that could be a consistent father figure in her kids' lives. So yeah, no, I completely get that. It would be interesting to see how things progress between them. So anyways, the singles are mingling. Anyway, so over on the other side, Blake and Natasha were having a conversation. And so Blake was like, oh, he loved her bubbliness and how she looks like very bubbly and inviting. So he was speaking to her. So basically, they were having a good old chat. He was talking about how he has 3 boys. He no longer wants kids. And then, he's checked the boxes basically on kids, right? So the next thing, Natasha is there like, okay. And then she's like, she doesn't like her men like looking too good. And then Blake laughed. I'm like, that man is like, yep, this ain't my girl because I look how I look and that just ain't it. One thing Natasha did say was that she senses an air of arrogance, is like a stench of arrogance in him. And I couldn't agree more. He comes across as that. Now, he might not be, but what he's coming across as in this first episode, it definitely is giving me very much. I think I'm it. I know I'm good looking and no one can tell me anything different. And I'm basically the cream of the crop, honey. Bro, I think it's safe to say there was no connection there, honey. Like, he was like, it felt like he was talking to a stranger at the bar. I'm like, yeah. We could feel the awkwardness from the screen, don't worry. Like, there is no connection here. So nephew Tommy was basically saying, it's time to let Simone and Rashid go. And so guess who then proposed? Rashid knelt down, proposed. He was saying like really sweet things, talking about she's his best friend. He loves how she supports him and his son. I'm like, oh, that is so sweet. And then he went down on one knee, and then she went on both knees with him. I thought that was so beautiful. That actually gave me goosebumps, guys. Like, I was like, this, oh, they are so, so, so good together. Wow. To be honest, that was the highlight of the episode for me. And after they left, nephew Tommy was basically saying to them that 2 singles would be leaving tonight. So 1 man and 1 woman would be leaving at the end of the night. So in the interest of trying to not go home quickly, it seems that all of the singles are now fully mingling. So on the other side, there's Demario and... Is it Demario? I hope it's Demario. Like, guys, it's so hard to remember everyone's name. So I think it's Demario. So anyways, Demario and Z were having a good old chat. He starts talking about how he lost his sister to breast cancer. And yeah, like, it seems that they sort of connected on that like vulnerable moment. So this is where I feel like the conversation started to go a bit left, right? So he's like, how do you feel about an alpha man? And the thing is, every time someone says alpha man, I'm like, oh, alpha male or whatever. I'm like, it gives like, I can be controlling, I can be, I can be my way or the highway kind of vibes. But anyways, so she's like, yeah, I like it. She's like, oh, she could also be alpha female. I'm like, he did not seem to fully like that. He's like, oh, so how does that work? And she's like, sometimes she just wants to kick back and doesn't want to really want someone else to lead and stuff. But also sometimes, she's alpha basically. So I don't know how it's going to work between them. So then this is the part that got me. She's like, oh, would you date a virgin? He was like, yeah. His face said no though. And then she's like, oh no, I'm not a virgin. I'm just joking. I'm like, how old are we? Like, we're not 5. Like, what is the joke? So over around the bar, it was 4 singles, 5. So it was Blake standing, Morgan was seated, Mercedes and Covea and Blue. And so they were basically talking, and Covea was like, oh, do you guys want kids? I know you're in your 40s. And he's like, Blake was like, oh, he's 87%. It's 87% no to having kids, basically. And Morgan just got up, and I'm like, yeah, there's no point. Like, if you're not interested, I get the impression Morgan wants kids, and she's like, yeah, I'm not sitting down to speak to a guy that I know does not want kids. So that was that. This is the part that got me, right? Blake continues to say, well, depending on what the universe and whether the universe aligns and if the chips fall perfectly, then sure. I'm like, okay, I'm not buying your BS. You don't want kids. Just leave it at that. And then only date people who don't want kids or already have their own kids. Like, for example, the lady that has 3 kids will probably be a good fit for him. He already has 3 boys. She has 3 kids. I don't know if it's boys or girls or whatnot, but at least she already has kids. So chances that she might not even want any more children. So I think that's who he really needs to be focused on. And other women who don't want kids, but not the ones that want kids. I just don't like when people give the impression that they are open to having kids when they know fully well they don't want any more children, because it wastes other people's time. Like, imagine anyone that dates him actually wants to waste her own time, especially if he said 87% no, honey. I love how Mercedes picked up on the fact that he's not being completely honest, and I completely agree. He's not being completely honest. He does not want children, and that's okay. So stick to that. So in his little confessional, he's like, he doesn't want to be talking college fund when he should be talking retirement fund. I'm like, okay, but your youngest is 9, which means you're probably going to be talking college fund for some time at least. So I don't know what you're talking about, sir. So then he proceeds to say, you could be the perfect mom, and if you don't have a dad, then you have a broken kid. And I'm just like, And so Kaveh asked him a direct question. If you have a kid with one parent, does that mean the kid is broken? And he's like, yeah. And she's like, well, it was good talking to y'all. So she's like, she does not like to be belittled and doesn't like a condescending man. So I'm like, all right. That's fair enough. So then nephew Tommy walked in. He's like talking to the fellas, trying to find out like, who do you like? Who don't you like? All the guys are like, Mercedes, Mercedes. And then they kept saying, oh, because she's a flight attendant, I love flying. And so Anthony starts saying what he likes about her. And then Uncle Tommy is like, oh, and you love flying. He's like, no, I can buy my own flights. I'm like, yes, Anthony, come through. Like, the others just seem like really interested about the fact that she's a flight attendant. Maybe they have like some sort of kink about flight attendants. Who knows? So then the guys also mentioned they liked Jeffrey and they also liked Morgan as well. So then they were talking about the girls they didn't really like. So a lot of the guys mentioned Z. And then what was interesting was Blake mentioned Kovea and said she's just a little feisty. I'm like, of course you're not going to like her because she does not buy into your BS, okay? Then he also brought up Natasha. He was like, it felt like he was talking to a stranger in a park. They didn't really gel, which is fair enough. They did not gel at all. If you guys watched the episode, they did not gel. So over on the other side, nephew Tommy starts asking the ladies, who are you feeling? A lot of them mentioned Andre, Tony, and yeah, like a lot of them also mentioned Mario. So then nephew Tommy was asking all of them questions like, so who are you least interested in? And a lot of them brought up Dre. And yeah, like Morgan was like, she wants to feel feminine. She's a tall girl. He's really short. And yeah, but to be honest, I feel like it's not just about him being short. It's the way he carries himself as well. And to be fair, most of the girls also said that. Also, they weren't feeling the fact that Lyndon has a roommate. So that was not, it wasn't looking good for Lyndon on that. Then Natasha also brought up the fact that she didn't really like Blake and that he had a stench of arrogance about him. And then Jeffrey was like, well, I think he's a bit misunderstood. I'm like, This reminds me of who was the girl from the last season when she kept saying, oh, I think Justice has been misunderstood. Honey, he's exactly who he is. And that's okay. So finally, it was the eliminations and Dre got eliminated like I thought he would. And also, Natasha got eliminated. But they both took it well. It was the first day and whatnot. So guys, I'm just excited that Ready to Love is back. I can't wait for the next step. Guys, when they show the preview of the season, oh my gosh, it is going to be dramatic. It's going to be a mess. And I will be covering every single minute of it. Thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Please give this video a thumbs up so people can find it. And guys, also if you watch Love and Marriage Huntsville, I cover it on the show, so please click the subscribe button and check out some of my old and other videos. Anyways, thank you, take care, speak to you later, bye.